Might as well get things going. If you're having trouble hearing me or anything like that, actually, if you could click that little yes green button if you are hearing me. Just want to make sure that everybody can hear me, see the screen, and that kind of thing. Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right, so to start, I'm just gonna show you a few slides. This is gonna be a pretty informal presentation. We're really just gonna kind of talk about how we've been integrating OER here at Wayne State, kind of how we set up our system. This is gonna be a really open conversation, so please feel free to post your questions in the chat. I definitely like to get to them and address them, and if just in case anything comes up that we wanted to go over. So to kind of start, my name is Nathan Chavez. I'm from Wayne State University. See here, I'm the Associate Director of Academic Applications for Computing and Information Technology. So to give you a little bit about my perspective, I'm a tech guy, so I don't come at this from the instructional technology angle or from the pedagogy angle. I'm really a technical guy, and I'm in charge of our team that manages the LMS here at Wayne State. So that kind of tells you a little bit about my experience. We work really closely with our Office for Teaching and Learning. They kind of are more focused on the academic side and working directly with our instructors on their actually creating their courses and kind of making those decisions about how they want to build their courses. We focus more on the support end. So we do a lot of technical support. I run the faculty help desk. And then my people also actually do the back end of Canvas and maintain it. So Veronica is actually running here from another meeting, so we should see her in a little while. So I'll give her a chance to do an introduction when she gets online. So I'll go ahead and move forward. So I think a lot of you obviously are probably pretty familiar with what open education resources are and kind of what we're going to be talking about today. I'd like to leave this here just so that we have a good sort of like basis foundation definition for what open education resources are. I won't get into it a ton in my talk today, but this is also kind of a buzzword right now, and there are even some publishers that are kind of trying to sell an OER type situation. So that's it's important to kind of be aware of what actually constitutes open educational resources, and this is kind of how we define it here, that you can freely use and reuse. You have the option to kind of remix and change around items. And one of the things we've really been thinking about lately is how flexible open education resources are, in the sense that you're not as bound to changes that, say, the publisher makes. If you're using a publisher material, they may make some changes in a new edition that you're not totally happy with. With open education resources, you kind of don't have that lock-in. You really can sort of remix and change around and do what you want with the information, which we think is really a really good step for instructors. And then, why would we be interested in OER? I mean, I think this kind of gets into where I come from with it. And for me, my real connection to the open education resources field and sort of story is that I was one of those students who struggled. The cost of textbooks was definitely a barrier for me as I was getting my undergraduate degree. And I saw it in a lot of my fellow students as well. And so to me, this is really important for us. I mean, we have a lot of students who take the bus to get to school here, and we have a lot of students who maybe have kids that they're caring for, or maybe have other things going on in their life, and a couple $100 a semester for each course is definitely can make a huge impact if we can find a way to eliminate that cost. So that's definitely something that we, our group, myself working with Veronica and working with Josh Ned Fox and some of our other people on campus here, we've really been trying to get this into people's minds and really trying to get more people thinking about OER and thinking about how it can help them in their courses. So that kind of brings us into more of our sort of more specific information I'm going to go over. Mostly I'm going to be talking about Canvas a lot today. That's mostly just because that's kind of the angle that my perspective really comes from, because that's what I'm mostly living in during the day. But I wanted to throw up this list of options for you of the OER options available in Canvas. This isn't a super exhaustive list. This is really just about kind of the things that we've chosen to integrate into our environment. And when I say integrate into our environment, there is, you'll notice over here it says LTI. For those of you who are not familiar with that term, that refers to learning tools interoperability. It's a standard that is used for different LMS software to allow it to work with plugins in a standardized way. And so you may have noticed, you may have LTIs in your system for things like YouTube or for things like Office 365. These are just plugins that live inside your LMS. So in this case, this is a little bit about our configuration and how we have it set up. I'll actually be showing this to you in Canvas in a little while. So you can see here, OER Commons, I'm going to be spending a lot of time talking about that. It's a website you can go to that has a great library of materials. I'll show you that website in a little while. And it's actually available as a plugin in other LMSs as well. I'm pretty sure it's available in Blackboard and Brightspace, and then obviously Canvas. But that's one thing I wanted to make sure I pointed out. If you're using a different LMS, it's a pretty simple process for integrating. Your tech guys, your IT guys should have no problem doing it. And there's no licensing fees or anything like that for this stuff. So it should be a pretty easy sell to get them to integrate this into your environment. And it will make it that much easier to use these materials because you'll essentially have a link directly in Canvas. And I'll show that to you a little later. The Canvas Commons is something I'm also going to be spending a lot of time talking about. Now, the important thing to really remember with Canvas Commons is that it includes a lot of materials, most of which are not actually OER. You do actually have to do some hunting and some searching to find materials that are completely OER and usable. And I wanted to include that, and that's actually a feature that is totally unique to Canvas. As far as I'm aware, none of the other LMS vendors have anything like it. The Canvas Commons is essentially an area where everyone who is using Canvas at any of the different institutions around the world can upload and share course materials. And that can be assignments, it can be full courses, it can be quizzes, lectures, videos. There's a lot of flexibility there, and I'll be talking with you about that a little later. Now, this one may come as a surprise, YouTube. There's a lot of OER content on YouTube. Obviously, you have to know what you're looking for. You have to know how to actually identify if something is a Creative Commons license that you can use. But YouTube does actually have some tools that allow you to do that search. So I'll show that a little bit to you later. Unfortunately, those search tools aren't available when we embed it in Canvas itself, so we kind of have to identify those videos ahead of time. But we can get to them directly from Canvas, and it is a little bit easier than hunting them down manually. Merlot I have as an option on here. You actually may notice that I have it crossed out. This is something that we've been sort of on a holding pattern with. We have it in our environment. We've used it for a while now, although the plugin itself has been a little unstable lately. So we're actually considering removing it. So it's kind of why I have that strike through there. So that's something it's unfortunate. I mean, you can obviously still use information from below. You just have to link to it manually. We're hoping that they can get that integration together and it would work a little better going forward. Then my last option I have on here is TED Ed. So this is actually kind of snuck into another plugin in Canvas, and I'll show you how to find that. And that plugin is called Public Resources. If you actually go to that plugin and install it in your Canvas course, you'll have access to actually about 6 different providers that you can get content from. Khan Academy is on there, TED Ed, YouTube is actually on there. So that's a really cool tool. It's totally free in Canvas. It's really easy to get. In fact, if you're teaching a course in your Canvas environment, you can very likely integrate that without necessarily asking your tech support to work with you. Although it would be nice if they did, because then everybody at your institution would have it. So we'll have a chance to talk about all of those as we move forward in the presentation a little bit. I just wanted to remind you, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward to the next part, but if there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be taking a look at that as I take pauses here during the presentation. So these are all of the options that we currently have available in Canvas. This is not to say that these are all of the options. I mean, I'm sure there are things that my instructors are using that I'm not aware of yet. but we're always looking to integrate the right tools for people to be able to actually use this. So moving forward, we talked a little briefly about how to find Creative Commons in YouTube. So I've got this screenshot here for you. When we move to the demo, I can show you this in person so you can see how it looks. But you'll notice that I've got a search term up here. This is just the standard search field. And in YouTube, when you've searched at least once, you get this little filter button that shows up. It actually won't show up until you've actually searched, so it's a little confusing if you try to get there without clicking. So I actually had to type in geology, click the search button, and then I had the filter options. So that's one thing that's a little silly about YouTube and how they do that. But when you click that, you get this nice sort of menu pop out, and then you get to choose Creative Commons as one of your filtering options. This is really, really great. This is really helpful for finding things that are on YouTube that have the right license. I really, really wish that this type of thing existed in more places, specifically the Canvas Commons. It would be very helpful to have this. Unfortunately, it doesn't, so there is some sort of manually identifying and looking through materials to find things that have rights that you can use. So that's one thing that I think YouTube has done really well. It really helps to find these, and this is something I'd definitely like to see in other vendors and in other areas. So just to move forward, I wanted to show you, this is what it looks like on an actual video. So this is a cool geology video I found. You can see this is the creator, and it shows up right down here under license, and this is actually a link that will give you more information about actually doing that. So that's a huge thing that you can do. Actually, I mean, you could start doing that today, and you could use that in your LMS right out of the box, even just with linking and things like that. This can get you access to a lot of material just by doing some simple sort of search terms and some filtering to find things that you can use. Is there any questions about that? I just wanted to check real quick and see if anybody had any questions. We'll look at that a little bit more in depth in a little while. Okay, go ahead and move forward. So we've got OER comments here. So this is, I'm going to be showing you kind of how this works in action, but I wanted to make sure you had access to this info about it. So it's a great library. There's a lot of really great materials. The search terms work really well. You can essentially go through in OER Commons and identify materials that you want, and then essentially when you click on the corresponding plugin in Canvas, as long as you're logged in, those materials will show up, and it'll be pretty much a one-click integration process after that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move into the demo portion so we can start talking about this. Before I get started on that, was there any specific questions anybody had about anything I went over already? Okay, excellent. All right, so we'll start. We'll take a look at Canvas. Can I get a few, if you can click that yes button, if you're seeing the screen, you're seeing Canvas right now? Okay, excellent. I see some green lights. Thank you. Thank you. So obviously we're looking at our Canvas here. For those of you who don't, live inside Canvas all day like I do, this might look a little different, a little strange. Just to kind of let you know where we're at, I'm logged into what's called a dashboard. This is the home page of Canvas. This is where everybody shows up the first time that they log into Canvas, and every time after that, unless they're following a direct link. So I've kind of got like my courses are down here and these like course cards, and then we've obviously got like the types of things I need to do for my account and things like that, my notifications and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to start by showing you the Canvas Commons, because I think we can get there from the top level. So to get there, what we do is on our course menu here, or on our global navigation menu, we just go here to Canvas Commons. And this is a really, really powerful tool. There are a lot of options in here for materials. So just to kind of talk a little bit about what we're looking at here. This is essentially a huge digital library that's connecting people who use Canvas from all over the world. And it's actually, whether it's K through 12, whether it's university, they're all connected into this system. You have the option as a person who is part of a Canvas instance, you have the option to actually upload materials and add them to this database. So like if I came up with a really good, say, quiz that I felt was really great for, conversational Spanish, we'll say, I could upload that in here as, say, a module, or maybe it's just a quiz, or maybe it's some materials, and then those can be downloadable by anyone else that's in that Canvas network. And this is something that's available to everyone. As far as I know, everyone who's on Canvas has access to this. And it doesn't really take any setup or anything other than just clicking on it. So to give you an idea of kind of how this works, I can actually do some searching. So let's go ahead and go, I'm going to search for actually OpenStax. One of the reasons why I'm searching for OpenStax in this context specifically is because, for one, they've chosen to add all of their materials into the Canvas Commons, which is a great thing. They essentially allow you to pretty much one click integrate these courses into your course. So like, for instance, if I go to, say, this calculus course here, I can kind of preview what this course looks like. So, all right, I've got a little welcome page here. It's got these nice headers. It even has these sort of placeholders that have instructions for me as an instructor for how I would use this. This is a really, really interesting opportunity here, because it gives you a lot of content that obviously, normally you'd either have to build this for yourself, or you might be getting this from a publisher. It kind of makes that step into OER a lot easier and shorter if you can start with some materials. Now, obviously, not every course and not every subject is going to be covered in OER, maybe not in the way that you are looking for, but you could possibly find a chapter or two that can be useful in here. You can possibly find some good visual aids that can be useful for for the subject that you're teaching. Now, OpenStax does have some limitations too, mostly that they've focused on some core subjects, but they don't have every subject yet. That's one thing that you got to kind of contend with this. If you teach something very that doesn't have a huge undergraduate lecture section, it's probably going to be harder to find those materials. But there's always really great stuff out there. So OpenStax, looking at these materials, one of the things that is really nice too is that this provides some sort of structure already to start off. So especially, I'm thinking if you're in a position where you have not taught online a lot, you have not taught in a hybrid setting a lot, this is a great way to kind of give you a head start into seeing sort of how these courses are structured. What this course has been looked at, it has been reviewed by people at OpenStax, so there are good ideas in here. There's good pedagogy in here, so this is a great opportunity to have a great starting point for that kind of work. Obviously we have we can look, if we know what we're looking for, we can do OpenStax. There's also other, so like if I say like photography, I can also search in this context for just items that are of a certain subject. However, I don't necessarily know if they're OER. So if I go into it, actually, this is where it tells me, right here. So it's a little hidden. It's a little kind of hard to necessarily notice if you're not looking for it. But this, much like that YouTube link, here's a link to the information about what can and cannot be done with this particular piece of content. So in this case, we've got, you can attribute it, but they really don't want you selling it. So there's some information there. So if I click that, that's actually going to give me more information about this specific license and what I can and cannot do. Okay. And then finally, I want to show you just a really, really nice thing about this is that if you go to this import/download. Let's say you looked at these materials, you said, all right, I really like this set of materials, I really want to be using this. Essentially, you can go to import download and then just choose a course that you want to import it in. So in my case, I have an extra course I can use here. You click it and just do import. And then within a few minutes, that's going to be in my course. So that's pretty amazing. I mean, if you think about in this context, let's say you were getting this from, these materials from a colleague at another university or something like that, without having this type of system. I mean, you'd be looking at the person has to somehow post that somewhere publicly for you to find it. You have to download that course package. You have to identify a course you want to use it in, and then you have to import it. Essentially, Canvas has kind of cut out a lot of that stuff by just letting you share directly with other people that are using Canvas. Okay, and I just I see a little comment from Heather. Thanks for letting me know about the mic cutting in and out. I just kind of did a little change in mic placement, so it should kind of help out a little bit. Fortunately, I'm using one of those little mics built into the computer. So, okay, so was there any questions about that setup and about that using the Canvas Commons, accessing it, kind of how it works? One thing I didn't cover is that you actually have the ability to use this within groups within your campus. So like if, let's say you have a group of instructional designers or people doing support work for a department, you could put them all in a group and then they would have a way to share materials amongst each other. You don't actually have to send it all out into the world. So that's another thing that you can do if you need to do that sort of thing. Okay, so I got a question from Teresa. How do we get to Commons from the main Canvas page? Yes, so the way that we did that, I'll actually take you back there so that we can all start from the same spot. So I'm here on the dashboard. This is the main page. Commons is right here on the global navigation menu, right in this area here. And the one thing I do want to point out is that if you have Canvas at a different institution, the icons and the colors may be different. We've kind of got this green and gold thing going on, but I've certainly seen all different kinds of colors and I've seen variations in the icons as well. So it may look a little different. It could also look like this. You can kind of shorten the menu and sort of use those text labels. So that's something that you can do too that might make it a little different. And when you click on it for the very first time, it's actually going to ask you to basically sort of approve it with your account. And then after you do that, then you'll be right into this screen where you can start working with it and using it. And did that answer your question now, Teresa? Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions before I move forward? I think I'm going to show us OER comments next, if that's okay with everybody. Okay, sounds good. So to show you this one, I'm actually going to show it to you in a course so you can see how that what the integration looks like and kind of how you use it. So starting from here, I'm just going to go into one of my training courses. And then I'm going to go to assignments. Now, all of the content areas in Canvas are pretty similar as far as the tools that you can use. So I'm going to show this to you in assignments, but one thing to keep in mind is that these tools are actually available in other areas of the course as well. So like announcements, pages, even inside like quiz questions and things like that. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could give someone a quiz in Canvas and you can put, say, a TED Talk in one of the questions and then ask them a question within that. So there's a lot of flexibility here. I want to emphasize that even though I'm turning these into an assignment, that's not the only form that they can live in. So first, let's kind of take a look at it. So this physical geology one, this is one that I created. This comes from OER Commons. I want to just kind of see what these look like. We've got all this information that gets embedded automatically. I didn't have to like copy and paste anything or anything like that. Let's go ahead and build one. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new assignment here. And let's call this OER testing. And then, so I'm in this content area here where I can type things into the students. I can put images and things like that. I'm actually going to go straight to our external tools button here. This will look different for you if you're on Canvas in another institution. the sort of the arrangement of these buttons here and the things that show up in this list are going to be completely custom to your environment. So like, for instance, we have Office 365 in our environment. Some other environments may have, Google Gmail or something like that instead. So from here, I'm actually going to go and click on the OER Commons button, which we have here. Again, it might be somewhere up here, or it might be in a slightly different spot. They should look the same with this sort of circular icon. So I click this, and then it actually opens up the OER Commons website, kind of in this little window here. And as you can see, I have these folders that are actually set aside for different subjects. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and select this algebra. And then you can see, basically, it ended up creating that. Oh, and this is another OpenStax material. So it actually ended up creating that and putting it in the content area here within Canvas. And all this material that I've already identified is now in here in my Canvas. And again, I didn't have to do code or anything like that. I didn't have to embed anything, nothing like that. I can go through here and just make sure that my assignment settings are all good. And I'm happy with this. Let's say they got to do this by next week. And then I can save it. So that's, you can see that's pretty quick. That I've gone in there, I've selected a resource that I had, and essentially it's just there for me now. And I can choose to interact with this or put this out to the students in really any way I want. Like if I want to, for instance, add something to the bottom that says, read through this resource and then do the following, I can do those kinds of things as well. It lets me edit this information. It's not locked in or anything like that. That's all available for me to sort of modify and work with. So let's go ahead and now that you've kind of seen it in Canvas, I want to just backtrack real quick and show it to you in OER Commons. We'll be jumping back to Canvas in a minute, but were there any questions about anything I just showed you with this Canvas tool? Okay, sounds good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and flip over to OER Commons. So here, I'm already logged in and all that. If you don't have an account, you'll have to make one. And I sort of recommend starting on this side of the house first so that you can identify your materials and get them in there and decide what you want to use. Because then it's just a one-click once you get to Canvas. So in here, this is as simple as, let's go ahead and search geology here. And keep the filters really open. And so we've got we can refine our search on this side, and then we've got the materials actually show up over here. So if I go to, say, this resource right here, let's say I'm looking at this, and I can obviously view the resource if I want. I can view all the information. Creative Commons information is available down here. I can also put this in a list. So if I say, all right, I would like to save this to my geology list, it's now there. So now when I go back to Canvas, I'll be able to get to this resource directly based on my own, based on what I've saved from here. And you can choose this organization. You can actually make the folders and things like that. You can see you have a new folder. You get to choose all of this. I just happen to choose these particular topics for the demo. But this is a great resource. There's a lot of really great material in here. And I want to go through these filtering options real quick so you can see you can actually filter it by the type of activity it is. So I'm thinking of a situation where you may need an activity for day 2 of week 10, and you may have an idea for what is going to work really well for that, but you're looking for something to sort of fit into that, to sort of give you that inspiration. This is a great place to go for that. Like if you want to integrate some game-based activities, or if you're just looking to integrate like a video or even a small module or something like that, this is kind of a great place to go to start thinking about those materials. And it's important to think too that this moving into OER and looking at OER is you can put your toes in the water. You can kind of try it out and check it out a little bit. It's not one of these things where you have to, cold turkey quit your publisher and then move to this right away. You can start integrating these things in, and there's really no downside. I mean, there's no added cost for your students. The material is usually really high quality, and there's a lot of great accessible material as well. So definitely explore this and see if this can help you with your teaching. See if this can help you with building out your courses. Again, this is a great resource. So we've talked about that a little bit. Are there any questions about OER Commons? I wanted to show you those YouTube search filters so that you could kind of start working with that right away. Okay, all right. So I'll go ahead and go over to YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and go here. So let's say like that. So I go to geology on here. And then I go to this filter button. So again, I've got that right here for Creative Commons. So when I click that, it reloads the page, and then that's now live. So then if I go to like one of these, so if I say like
Igneous Rocks Part 3 dash.
So if I take this and then I go to the description, I've got the license information here. Okay, so any questions about that? Actually, and this is just a question for anyone. Has anyone actually used that before, that YouTube Creative Commons search? Has anybody found any good materials in there that they've decided to use for their course? All right. Guess not. Well, hopefully that's a new trick I can give you to put up your sleeve for that. So what I'm gonna do is so we're getting pretty close to what we were thinking our time was going to be, but I want to show you something pretty cool that one of our areas on campus did recently. So our English 3010 I guess you could say program, like the English department, recently looked at our English 3010 course, which is a course that we usually run about somewhere between 40 and 50 sections per semester. So this is a course that a lot of students have to take, a lot of students have to interact with. And as it turns out, the course is being taught pretty similarly across the board as far as course materials, in terms of what they were using for the actual course, the textbook, things like that. So essentially, and I've copied those materials from their course into here. They let me copy these into my practice course, so I could show these to you. So we're not going to, we don't have to risk looking at any student data or anything like that. Essentially, they spent a few months in committee speaking with, talking with people in the department, the people who are teaching the course, the people at the leadership level, and really defining the requirements about what they needed in the course, what was important to have. They got a lot of buy-in from their faculty, and they essentially were able to completely transfer this course to using open education resources. Now you can see if I'm looking through here, the course isn't, I wouldn't say it's particularly flashy or anything like that. It's very organized, it's very together, but if you notice, we've got all of the same structure here that we would have with our publisher materials or something that was provided to us. It took work, for sure, to get here, to get to this point. But when they did, they spent those months putting this together, they spent those months developing those courses. They ended up with a course that, 40 sections of our students take every semester, and now they're not paying for a textbook for that course. In our mind, this is a really, really powerful change. And from their perspective, from my conversations with them, they didn't have to make, they didn't really have to make any compromises with their content, because they were already familiar with the journal articles that they needed. They were already familiar with the types of assignments they needed to have the students do. And in fact, a lot of that work had already been done internally in the department. So many of these assignments are actually just updated versions of what they were before. And you can see the citations are here, all of the information for the students is here. And another piece that I find is really sort of beneficial to going this route is that the students now can complete their entire course inside of Canvas. All of their materials, all of their readings, everything that they need to download and access is all right here in Canvas. We've surveyed students a lot of times about these materials, and one of the things that we've heard from them a lot is this idea that they don't want to go to another system, they don't want to have another login, they don't want to have to buy an access code so that they could actually do their homework. These are things that the students find really frustrating. In my mind, looking at this course and looking at the way that they redesigned this, this pulls it all back into one place and sort of gets that focus back on the content. You can see they've even got embedded videos here that they're using. So yeah, I mean, this is a really powerful, I mean, as far as looking at the course, I know there's not a ton to look at other than, seeing the work that went into this, but this has a huge impact, and this is a really, really important step to take. And if this is something that you can do on your campus, it's totally worth it. We're already getting lots of great feedback from the students. They're really happy about making this course more simple and making this course easier to complete and also less of a financial burden. So I wanted to share that with you. If anyone is interested in this course, I can get you in contact with the people who created it. And so again, they've incorporated these images, they've got these great citations. So this is something that a lot of work went into, and it ended up being a really, really great resource. So on that note, that's kind of the end of everything I wanted to officially show you, everything that's kind of on my bullet list here. But obviously, if we want to talk about anything else, or if you have any questions about kind of how we got to any of this, I'd be happy to answer those right now. Okay, not seeing any. So I guess we'll kind of start wrapping things up. I just wanted to say thank you to Heather for being our host and for letting us use the Zoom setup to be able to hold this today and to host this for us. So thank you very much, Heather. Okay, I got a thumbs up. Awesome, awesome. So with that, I think we can go ahead and close it down. So thank you everyone for being here. If you have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and put up my contact info real quick. So this is me, Chavez at wayne.edu. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to talk to you about what we're doing with OER here or what we're doing with Canvas here. And then obviously we need to reach out to Veronica as well. Her information is there, veronica.elot@wayne.edu. All right, excellent. Thank you, everyone. Take care.